Hello my lovelies, and welcome again to Where the Road Rises, Law, Lessons, Legacy, with me, your host, Eileen Curlin-Walsh. Today we're going to explore one of our show's seminal values, lessons and learning, with Jodi McLawhorn, Principal of St. Albert the Great School in our neighbouring Burbank. Jodi is highly credentialed. She holds multiple degrees and certificates in general education and specialised fields, and she has many years' experience teaching in various disciplines and grade levels. She has a mission dear to her heart and educational philosophy to unlock the limitless potential of every student with personalised learning. Jodi is also a mother of busy teens, and she gives generously of her time to a myriad of associations and organizations. She is a force of nature, and I am delighted for you to meet her today. Welcome, Jodi.
Thank you.
Welcome to the program. Thanks for being here. And why don't you start by telling us a little about you, your background, your journey, how you became interested in education, and how you came to the initiative that you're so passionate about.
Well, I always say in my former life I was a musician, so my journey actually starts out as a musician. I was a flutist and I still am a flutist for all of my life. And I decided that I wanted to go into education and be a music teacher. So I started out my career as a music teacher, and right about the time I started having my own children, I took a little bit of a break, to have them when they were little babies and spend some quality time with them. And after that period, I was ready to go back to work, and I was working at St. Rita High School. Mm-hmm. And at St. Rita High School, one of the priests came to me and said, would you start up a new music class? We want to have a class for high school boys around music. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do a class for high school boys to learn music, it can't be anything in the traditional sense. It has to be something that's innovative and exciting. And so how could I do that? And so I came upon the idea of doing an electronic music class. And so I developed the class, created the curriculum, implemented the class, and it was very successful. So after a while, I started getting a little bit more of an itch, and I felt like I could make a greater impact. And so at that time, I decided to go and get my degree to be an educational leader. And in the end, what I really wanted to do was to be a part of the solution, and I still feel that way today. And I think when you're a teacher and you're in the teacher's lounge, there's a time where you have to sit and let off some steam, and you got to talk about the things that are bothering you, the things that are irking you. But that's important. It's important to do that. But I also feel like at one point in my life, I felt like, okay, I've had enough of that. Now I want to be a part of the solution. And so how can I make a greater, bigger impact? And I thought, well, being an educational leader is the way to do it. So that's how I came to that route.
Beautiful. And now fast forward to your principal of St. Albert the Great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And in that position, you have become passionate about and began introducing this initiative of personalized learning. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about how you got chosen for that and how you've been bringing it to the school and what it means.
So when I arrived at St. Albert the Great, we had a very traditional atmosphere, as I grew up with, and I think most people probably did, where the teacher is the center of the universe. We call them the sage on the stage, the ones with all the answers to all of life's issues and problems. And so much of our educational system is teacher-centered, teacher-focused. And even me as a teacher, when I was coming up through the ranks, when I would get observed by my administration, the focus was always on me as the teacher. What am I doing, and how can I make better choices for my students? Well, with personalized learning, it's more about empowering the students to lead their own learning. So the teacher's role kind of shifts from the one who has all the answers to the one who's trying to get the student to come up with the answers themselves. So it's really an exciting way because it's more of a learner-focused approach where the learners are identifying their strengths, their weaknesses, they know what things they're passionate about. They really start to spend some time learning about themselves. And it's also learner-led because the student with the teacher works together to come up with their own learning pathway, so to speak. And then it's also learner demonstrated because, in traditional ways of demonstrating your knowledge, it's here's the sheet of paper, write, and the answers to the test on the paper. But in a personalized learner demonstrated classroom, it doesn't necessarily have to be paper. It could be by giving a speech, it could be by writing a song, there's a million different ways that you can express what you have learned. And so this type of approach encourages that. It encourages that empowerment of the students and the teachers working with the students to empower them. So as far as how we got started, when I first arrived, there was a process that we were eligible for through Harvard University called DataWise. And DataWise is a process by which you evaluate your school, what's working, what's not working, you take a look at student data, you take a look at your practices as a faculty. And what you're trying to do is improve your school. It's a continuous school improvement process. So we participated in that process through Harvard because we needed it. Like you could tell there was some growth that needed to happen. And we did such a great job on preparing our journey through that Harvard actually called us and we presented to Harvard via the internet, So that was really exciting for my teachers to be chosen to do that. Well, I think that through that process and how we were chosen to do that, we had a lot of publicity off of that. I was then contacted by the Archdiocese to see if we were interested in applying for a grant for personalized learning. And I have to be honest, at the time, I really didn't know what we were getting into, but I knew that personalized learning was going to give more of the empowerment to the students, and I knew that that's what we needed. Additionally, this grant that we were awarded eventually brought updated technology and all kinds of wonderful resources that we never even had before, nor did we have the means to provide those.
And let's not be shy about the amount of that grant, $6 million.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Congratulations.
It is incredible. Yeah, it's funded through the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and just very generous people who really believe that innovation and learning is the way of the future.
And what changes have you seen in the classroom?
So a lot. We started with our mindset. Like we knew that that was the first thing we needed to change. So if we wanted the kids to embrace challenge, embrace failure, and be okay with failure, because we all know that failure is a means of growth. If we wanted the kids to be able to do that, we had to do that ourselves. So we spent literally about 90% of our first year just really focusing on a growth mindset. So even in our faculty meetings, if I asked the teachers, okay, you're going to work on goal setting with your students, then I worked on goal setting with the teachers. So everything we asked the students to do, we did ourselves as well. And to me, that was the most impactful way to really get it moving in the very beginning, was to start with ourselves. So the mindset of everybody has completely changed from, for example, even students, when I go into a classroom, there used to be a whole lot, well, so-and-so finished the worksheet before me and I'm falling behind because I haven't done the worksheet, and a lot of comparisons from one student to the next. Now we have students that are more focused just on themselves. There's still a little bit of it. It's not perfect yet. We've only been doing it 2 years, so it's not in a perfect stage yet. But the students are more focused on themselves, on their own learning, on their own goals, and moving themselves and making more choices in their learning. And we're giving them a voice, which they never had before.
It's just absolutely amazing to me to think that you can change a mindset and to start there with the teachers and the students. I think we all know that changing our mindset is probably the hardest thing to do and the most necessary thing to do if we want to make any changes in our life. So that's incredible.
Yes.
Now, also anticipate that there's going to be maybe some pushback from your teachers and certainly also from your students, because if you were the student that wanted to just sit there quietly and let the other students do the talking and the teachers do all the work, that's going to smoke you out of your complacency.
That's so true. That's so true. And even for my teachers, you know, my teachers, and I think Catholic school teachers are a special kind of person too. I believe that Catholic school teachers, you know, they don't get paid a whole lot. So this is their life and their passion. When you commit yourself to being a Catholic school teacher, you're definitely not doing it for the money. You know, so this is really something where you have a firm belief in everything you're doing and you give your heart and your soul into everything. And then I come in with this whole personalized learning approach, and I have to tell you, you know, what you've been doing for the past 30 years is really great, but we're going to change it now. What? You know, you're going to change that on me? So a lot of that had to do with my relationship with the faculty too. I had to build a trust built, you know, a relationship built around trust. They had to trust me as well. And they had to trust the process that we were going through. So I would say that often, just trust the process. Trust the process. We're going to get where we need to be. The other thing about that too is, I think when we're talking about personalized learning, it's really about those teachers spending that one-on-one quality time with students and really getting to know their students. Well, I don't know a teacher that doesn't think that that's a good idea. You know, no matter what your previous, you know, methods were. The basic tenets of this idea are really great, and every teacher wants to do that. Every teacher wants to help their student. Every teacher wants to get to know them better, to meet them where they are, you know. So every teacher wants that, but what we're suggesting is, here's just a different approach. Here's a different way to do it. And through that approach, we're really just empowering the students.
As well as sharing the burden. So I think, having taught law for 10 years to college students, I often walked out of that classroom thinking, this 1 hour lecture is tougher on my energy than a week at my office. There's so much energy that comes from that one person at the front of the room, you know, dispelling all the wisdom and knowledge. Plus, it's monotonous. No matter how interesting you try to be, it's much better if we have everybody's voice. So I think it's sharing the learning. It's less burden on the teachers, less chance for burnout. And also that student who's a little bit quieter is not just going to get to sit and be ignored and be quiet.
And it's all the different students too, at all the different levels. So, you know, this gives an opportunity for the students who are high achieving students. Why do they need to be limited by what the current curriculum shows? This allows them to move on into higher levels and to really soar and to enrich what they're learning. As well as the students who might be struggling really get more of an opportunity for that one-on-one time with teachers, which is so desperately needed to help them have significant growth. So it really becomes more about growth and not grades. We've really struggled with that. Like, how do you give an A or an F? Like, if I have a student here who's really high achieving and I have a student here who's really struggling, why does this student get an A and this student is getting an F? They're both working just as hard. They're both putting in the same amount of time, the same amount of energy. Just one is at a different level than the other. That doesn't mean that one is better than the other. So it's really been a lesson for all of us in focusing more on the growth component than just the end product.
So what would you say to the critics who will argue that there are simply not the resources, that how can one teacher with a class of 25 students be one-on-one with each student? Is it just better use of the time together?
It's better use of time, it's better use of procedure. So often, like, when we first started, that was our attitude. Like, there's no way this is going to work. There's no way you can meet one-on-one and all the kids are just going to be working. So you have to start with the mindset. Everybody's got to get into the right mindset of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And then you have to take it very slowly. And I tell my teachers, be gentle. You know, just be gentle. We're not going to, this thing isn't going to make itself amazing overnight. You know, it's literally like peeling away the layers of an onion. So just be gentle with yourself. So we started in the beginning with having our students just do a learner profile. Like, talk about what you like. What subjects do you like? when you are at home and you're studying, how do you like to sit at a desk and be rigid and sitting straight up, and or do you like to be laying on the floor, or you're sitting on a beanbag? Or so when you walk into my school now, that's what you'll see. You'll see students on beanbags, students sitting on the floor. Some students are standing, some are sitting at a desk. It just depends. But we started with just getting to know yourself and being able to determine how I can learn the best way possible and how I can grow. And so it just kind of starts with that. Then we move into many other different types of strategies with the students, but then it becomes about independence, teaching them how to be independent, because that's what's going to need to happen. They're going to have to be independent while I am working and focusing one-on-one with the student. So we have done different strategies to work with the students on their independence levels. We applaud them when their independence levels are high, and we celebrate those things. So we have something that's called Way to Go Wednesday. So every Wednesday, if a student has high independence levels, has shown a growth mindset, and we're a Catholic school, so if they've done anything that's really in particular meaningful towards their faith, they get a Way to Go card, and then they come down to the office and we take their picture, but we celebrate it. So we're not celebrating an A, we're celebrating that mindset. We're celebrating the whole process. So it's just a change in how you view what you're doing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And what have the greatest challenges been in implementing the initiative?
So I think, in particular, again, I'm speaking from a Catholic school perspective, a lot of Catholic school buildings just are not equipped to handle even the technology that comes with something like this. So part of that $6 million is also the incorporation of technology. So, and when I arrived at my school, there was very little technology, if any. So that has been a huge learning curve for all of us. I mean, I remember in the beginning sending emails to the faculty and them saying, we really don't check our emails. This was 2 years ago. And now we have faculty meetings, and they're all on their Chromebooks, and they're going at it, and they're learning. So it's been a lot of learning the technology and overcoming the fear of the technology. One of the things we've learned is that often the students teach us the technology. And so we've had to open ourselves up to that and not be the sage on the stage. Let the students teach us a little bit about this as well. So that's been really exciting. That and the mindset, those have been the two greatest challenges with everything.
So from the sage on the stage to the guide at the side.
Yes, exactly.
It occurs to me when you talk about this form of learning, I just gave a lecture to the Moraine Valley students this week on finding your niche. And one of the things I was telling them to do is look into your life, look into your closet, look at your style, look at what you love. How do you like to spend your time? What's in your playlist? What's in your wallpaper? Where do you like to do your work? Do you want to sit in the kitchen, bright light library? What appeals to you? And that was all from a perspective of how to find your niche, how to go after what you really love. And it occurs to me that what you're saying, this personalized learning, this not looking to one sage in the stage for all the answers. We could all learn, we could all do better with this idea of personalized learning. Do you think our viewers could learn from our caregivers, our lifelong learners, this idea of personalized learning?
Yes, because I think that the whole premise of it, at the core of it, is taking time to get to know you and how you it's not just learning. I think it's also finding a way that you can have a meaningful impact. For example, in my school, we feel like our next step coming out of this is to take the skills that we're working with the kids now, where they can really be critical thinkers and they're so empowered at this point, to take that and make a difference in the world. Like go into your community and to find things that need solutions, that need answers, and use these skill sets that you've now acquired to make a difference in the world. And that's what we're trying to do right now, that's like our next focus. But if you think about it on your own personal level and in your own personal life, it's the same exact thing. It's take your skill sets, but it's really important to know what your challenges are too. Like really making the time to do some self-exploration and to really let yourself kind of be, just be in the moments so that you can absorb how you are personally reacting to different things. I have to know that there's certain things I'm just not good at, and it's not to say that I can't ever try, but there's certain things where, you know what, I need to have people around me to help me, to uplift me, to make me better, because that's an area for me that I might need to be, you know, more supported, have more support with that. So I think really taking the time to get to know yourself is a huge piece of this. And for us, it's been manifested itself in a classroom, but we're hoping that this is then going to be life skills. This is going to take the students with them wherever they go.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
And if you can learn at that early age to change your mindset, to even see that you're looking through a lens.
Yes.
That we half the time we don't even realize that it's a mindset that we have in place that's given us a sense of either limitation or capability.
That's right.
So to raise students with an idea that to have a growth mindset and to know that they're in charge of their own destiny and responsibility, their own learning, that it's not all, that they have no say, that the teacher isn't just the arbitrator of all, I think that's terrific.
Yeah, and I think it's also about embracing this idea of embracing failure. So many of what I've experienced over my years of teaching has been compliance, compliance, compliance. And what we're now asking students to do now is, it's okay to fail. Take the risk. What will happen? What will you learn if you fail? It's a deeper level of learning if they could take more risks, if they could not just try to fit into a mold. Because really what we're trying to prepare them for also is life skills and jobs. We always say we're preparing them for jobs we don't even know are going to exist yet. So we can't even say for sure, like, this is exactly the skill set that you're going to need, but we know that you're going to need to problem solve. We know that you're going to need to be a critical thinker. And we also know that you're going to need to have grit and you're going to need to have resilience.
Yes. Oh my gosh, great. Now I'm going to have you put on your mother hat and your community activist hat and ask you, what is your secret? Because you seem to be able to have a professional life. You're involved in all of your son's activities. You're the mom who's leading the organization and bringing the food and organizing the other mothers. So what would your advice be to our caregivers, our parents, our professional women out there to balance time, and how do you do it all?
Well, I don't know that I really have the answer, because there's times when I feel frenzied and, oh my goodness. You know, I think that the most important thing is that you have to learn from the people around you. So, for example, one night my son was going to bed and I heard his phone ringing. I was like, what is he doing on his phone? It's so late at night. And I went and I checked. He's going to kill me for saying the story. But anyway, so I went and I checked his phone and it said, pray. He had set himself an alarm to remember to pray at night. And I thought, wow, that's brilliant. What a brilliant idea. Wow, good for you. I was really glad that he was praying, you know, but I thought, I need to do that. I need to set myself reminders throughout my day to reconnect with what I'm doing and why am I doing this. One of my girlfriends, she also has little quotes and reminders that pop up on her phone.
Yes.
And one of her sayings that came up the one time was that God is nigh. And so often now this is my saying, I'll go, God is nigh, you know, just to kind of bring it all into perspective. And so anyway, that's really helped me a lot, is to keep myself in check. I have to continuously keep myself in check of the things that are important at this very moment. What is the most important thing?
And speaking of the most important thing, I've always admired and full disclosure, our sons are in school together. Our sons are theater kids, so we've been in many, not cold soccer fields, but many warm theaters, and it's a wonderful, but it's extremely taxing. And I've always admired how you show up time and time again. Your husband is there, your sons, your brothers, all of your family show up over and over. And you said to me when I admired that your family motto is, together there is only one of us. And I love that. So talk to us a little bit about what that means.
Well, I think that, you know, we need each other. We all need each other, you know, in this world. We all need each other. But as a family unit, each of our individual successes are possible through the support that we give each other as a unit. And whenever, like, my youngest has wonderful achievements, I congratulate my oldest, because if he didn't lead by example, that wouldn't have been possible. So it's really important that we all understand our piece of the pie, that we're all a piece of this, and that none of us would be able to do any of the things that we do if it wasn't for having each other and the support of each other. So.
That is just a wonderful achievement. And is your family your greatest achievement? What do you consider your greatest achievement in life so far?
Yeah,
and I know you have a long way to go.
It's definitely my kids, definitely. I mean, to me, they're everything, you know. And so, like, even doing the work that I'm doing through personalized learning, every time I'm doing my life's work, it's all with, I think about my kids. Like, what would I want from my kids in their classroom with their teachers? How would I want them, do I want them to have a voice? How do I empower my own children? So I'm always thinking of that, and I'm just really fortunate to be in a career where I get to work with children, so I often can make that parallel between my work and my private life. So
beautiful. So how would you want to be remembered for what you have? Well, is your life's work done, or is there plenty still to do?
I think there's plenty still to do. I really feel that as I move forward in my career, I'm really looking for continuing to be a part of the solution. I'm very interested in thinking of systemic ways to make an impact, especially when it comes to education and how our kids are learning. I think that this whole idea of personalized learning is fabulous. I think that I would love to see more high schools embracing this idea to prepare our students even as they go into college. And because right now personalized learning kind of lands itself in more of a grade school kind of level. But we're really pushing to get our high school counterparts to do the same thing and to really embrace this independence, empowering way of working with our students. So I don't see me being able to rest anytime soon, because I do see that as being my future, to really try to bring a whole systemic change to the way we're doing things.
And no better woman, I have to say, no better woman. How can our parents, grandparents, board members, teachers in the audience find out more about personalized learning?
Well, of course, they're free to contact me if they would like to reach out. As I'm hoping you can tell, I'm quite passionate about it, so I love talking about it. So they absolutely can reach out and contact me through email or phone call or something, and I'm available at St. Albert the Great School, and my email is jmclawhorn at satgschool.org.
And we'll get that on the screen too. All right, that was wonderful. How about if we end with a favorite quote, inspirational?
Well, so the funny thing is it kind of relates to my family's theme, which is, it's a quote by Helen Keller. It's, "Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much." And to me, that has been the success in my school. It hasn't been me, it's been our combined effort. It's taken the village to make this huge change happen at our school. And so I really believe in that, and I hope that that's inspirational to other people as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Jodi, for sharing your wisdom and your insight.
Thank you.
I just want to remind you, viewers, that we have coming up at my office on the 13th of March a complimentary workshop. We're going to be in the theme of St. Patrick's Day, teaching you how to protect your pot of gold. We'll have music, soda bread, tea, and lots of good information for you. So we'll get that on the screen. That's March 13th. Thank you for joining us. Thanks again for Jodi for sharing with us. And I will see you next time on Where the Road Rises.